Rick, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Indie agencies have a lot of questions for you about out of home. And this one is a big one. I've heard it a lot. Is out of home only for upper funnel awareness?
Not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, traditionally, out of home is for branding and big presence in the public space, and it still is. And it still does that in a unique way specific to the medium. But the evidence is there is that it influences and pushes down the funnel and creates more velocity for cost per acquisition, for e-com, for store visits, for website visits, and it's all measurable now as well.
I like that you use a nice little term, velocity. And yeah, you know what? And here's the thing, is that you'll see right here, 15withrick.com. You'll learn about velocity. You'll learn about creativity. You'll learn about all sorts of stuff. Get 15 minutes with Rick. I promise you, you will not regret spending the time with him to learn more about out of home and PJX Media. Rick, thanks so much for your support of Indie Agency News.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. It is Indie Agency News, and let's meet an indie agency. Today, we are going down to Los Angeles, and our friends at the Many, Maggie and Davis. How are you today?
We are great.
Never better.
Never better. How are you?
Good. So let's look at behind you. You got a little Melrose Place vibe going behind you there. So for those of you under 30, go ahead and Google that. Where is your space?
Our space is in the Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles. We are right on the PCH. So directly in front of us is the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
And the dolphins.
Right.
And behind us is this beautiful waterfall, which you can kind of see. This is the back of our office. We're on the third floor of our office.
Okay.
And over here are the mountains, which just around the corner is Malibu. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I see Tori Spelling behind you. No, I'm kidding. Again, that's a reference for those of you. All right. So I've mentioned the name of the agency, where you all are. When was the agency founded?
Yeah, so we were founded in 2008. You may have known us then as Mistress. We were a project-based agency. From about 2008 to 2018, we rebranded just at this turn of 2019 to The Many.
Got it.
That's when we were founded.
Got it. Now, there's a two-part question, a question in two parts. Let me be a professional here. What would you say that your agency is best known for? And then what would you say are the top three core strengths? And the reason I say the top three is that every agency is great at a lot of things, but there are usually three that's kind of like, this is our bread and butter and jam.
I love that he asked those two questions together, because we think about those two things together. So I think probably what we are best known for, our work when we were founded in our first couple of years for Hot Wheels was some of the first branded entertainment brand IP in the advertising space that the industry had ever seen. That actually directly relates as a part of that heritage to one of our core strengths is actually in that space. So a lot of the work that we're known for now, our work on the eBay business, is all about building the brand through social, through brand content and entertainment.
And in that work, we set world records.
Yep.
We won crazy awards. So it was a really kind of defining way of putting the agency on the map.
Created full-length TV shows, 3-year campaign. That was an amazing work. And on the other side, we're known a lot for our work in the social space. So we worked with Netflix. We've been working with Netflix on a number of different things, but pretty early on, our work for Narcos, around really a time when brands and agencies and marketing was trying to figure out how to use social. That kind of heritage and really leaning in at a time like that. In the entertainment space as well, is something that's also defined what we're known for as well. And it's work, again, that we're being recognized for just in the past couple of weeks.
But one thing to add to that is that in the history of the agency, we've been around for about 14, 15 years. And through that has been so much disruption. And it really necessitates, or actually provides an opportunity to approach problems in different ways. And I think both those examples that Maggie mentioned were ways where, the idea that brands could start telling bigger stories was a moment that was really, it was a moment of disruption where brands were starting to understand, like, how do we use these new channels that are available to us to actually tell brand stories? And you can be reactive in that, or you can go right into it. And I think one thing that's at the core of the agency is, in those moments of disruption, we lean into that and really look to find the opportunities for our clients, and then as a result of that, for us. And that spirit is really what drives us, especially now in this moment of just extreme disruption.
Right. That's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Let's dig into why you love being independent. Why is being independent important to the agency, and more specifically to your team?
The freedom, I think, that independence brings to actually go into those moments of disruption and kind of chained to what we are being told to do, or what a bigger kind of network or conglomerate agency or parent company is telling us to do. We can go in really independently with the client's business challenge, business objective, and really defining what is going to be most impactful for that brand. Doing that in a way that is really just in service of our clients and in service of our agency, again, without kind of what somebody else that's bigger is trying to tell us what to do, is really what unlocks impact for us, and we feel is a really defining thing. You want to talk a little bit about connections actually in that? And
yeah, so I think that one thing is our ability to be to the flexibility that's required to actually meet the challenges of modern marketing, I think is being independent allows us to do that. So for example, about a year ago, we restructured to just 3 departments: connections, creation, and operations. That's what runs our entire business. The idea of connections is that for so long, the baton toss from one function to the next actually is a relic of the TV era. But amazingly, a lot of agencies actually still operate that, especially holding company agencies,
non-independent ones.
Yeah, that have a deep heritage and frankly a reason to keep things that way, an incentive to. What the independence allows us to do is actually just completely challenge the conventions of that. And the idea of connections brings things like media or analytics or in-platform expertise that's typically relegated towards the end of the process in a more traditional linear type of thing. It brings it fully up to the front with brand strategy, creative strategy, social strategy, swirls it all up. And that strategic collaboration is the idea behind connections, which actually, before we brief anything, before we actually think about what are we actually making, that high leverage collaboration is actually core to how we get the highest leverage
I think
impact.
I think too, the other thing about independence, Doug, is it's a spirit. It's an entrepreneurial spirit, right? So we were birthed by 6 founders who wanted to buck every advertising category convention and do it better, challenge and lead. So when we talk about the connections practice, that is what enabled that, was the entrepreneurial independent spirit to actually take a structure that was defined, where the agencies that I came from, different floors for creative, media, design, production, project management, and then HR was way in the back. We kind of, that independent entrepreneurial spirit and the reason to actually do something different in the industry is why we are what we are today. I think that it comes back to that independence.
Yeah, you've touched on a lot of reasons about why a brand should work with you. Maybe touch on that a little bit more. I mean, I think you really laid it out. But the other side of this too is, what have you learned from the brands that you've worked with and continue to work with?
You're gonna go ahead. I was just gonna say, yeah. To your point, I think all of those reasons are why brands should work with us. When we are thinking about brands that we want to work with, we're looking for those common kind of points of spirit, I think, and a common sense of wanting to drive progress through challenge and comfort. So I think it's a big you touched on it earlier, Doug, the context in our world now, in our industry, with all the new kind of entrants, it's never been more complicated to figure out as a brand and as a business how to connect with your community. All of these things about us, all these practices, all of this entrepreneurial spirit, this independence, this really drive for impact and progress, and a willingness and openness to dive straight into the eye of the storm and challenge that comfort. That is why brands should want to partner with us, because we are really a trusted navigator in that process.
One thing to add to that is it requires an understanding, though, that a desire to challenge the conventions that do exist,
right?
And that's not for every brand. And so,
no, it is not.
But typically, when you find that in a brand, and a client team, that is that's when the learning. So it's a kind of a natural filter. You ask, like, sort of, what do we learn from the brands? The filter for getting into a place of learning with brands oftentimes is really an attitude of pushing to the edge of the comfort zone, understanding that what worked then is not acceptable now. And for us, that's led us to some really long and lasting relationships.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's talk the talent side of the equation. Why should talent put your agency on their list?
I think similarly to every brand and every business and every marketer is not for us, every member of the ad community or the marketing community is not for us. I think you should put the many on your list if you are a builder, if you are comfortable in incredibly collaborative environments where you're going to be held accountable for helping the team drive impact and progress. I think we are looking for people who, like you mentioned this earlier, want to do something different tomorrow than we did yesterday. I think we are looking for people that want to come and want to grow and want to push not only our clients' business and the impact that we can have for them, but our own community here at the agency as well. I think that's a big piece of what we're looking for.
The idea of having an opportunity to build something is that's what keeps me here. The founders are in the building. The teams are exposed to all the different functions within the agency, everything from the many studios to the connections team to the creation team. Everybody is getting exposure to working in a cross-functional way, and that takes an openness and an empathy, which again is not for everyone. And it's also probably the most rewarding part of the work.
Yeah, I would agree. We always end with this fun little one, whether it's a marketer or CMO that you are working with currently, or one that maybe you want to put a little something out into the universe. Who is a CMO or a marketer that you want to say hi to?
This is such an interesting one. We should say hi to all of our clients and our partners.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you
I get
that one up.
No, you got that one. No,
that's
fine.
It's a good one though, because I think to your point about, I don't want to get too derailed on this, but our partners are truly, a lot of agencies say this, our partners are a part of our team. They are driving impact in us and in their own business just as much as we are. So I think I think all of our clients now are longer than 2.5-year relationships at this point,
wow.
which is amazing. And that just talks about our ability to grow with them and adapt to new challenges and all that stuff. But I think when we think about what we're setting our sights on, it's less about a brand or a CMO or a track record, and more about an alignment of values, a belief that the best solutions that then turn into marketing and advertising initiatives start with integrated, holistic, collaborative, strategic solutions, and a willingness to really push the boundaries of what and how we believe brands and businesses should be showing up in the lives of the communities we're trying to attract. So for us, it's actually more of a spiritual answer. Davis and I are the front line of defense in all new business environments on, are these clients and partners and team members that are worthy of speaking to the rest of our team? Are they going to match our values? Are they going to push us as much as we're going to push them? So I think it's more a spiritual question for us than an actual brand, which I don't know if that's a
good dodge.
No,
No,
but fair.
No. It's not. I'm joking a little bit. No, because I get it, because it's you know, I mean, I worked for a holding company agency, the Martin Agency. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I loved working with and for Kristen Cavallo, and she's always a big proponent of following people. And and so I get that. I completely get that. So yes. Shout out to the most indie of holding company people, Kristen Cavallo.
Oh, totally.
The best, right?
Yeah, totally. She's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Maggie and Davis, I will see you in Los Angeles at some point.
Yes, you will.
I can guarantee you. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing more about the many. And we wish you continued success.
Thanks for having us, Doug.